Hi there, happy holidays. I figured since it was the end of the year, it would be a really good time to look back at the shadows that I wore this year and pick out the ones that I wore the most. So in front of me, I have 10 shadows that I've picked out that were the ones that I consistently wore, were always in my everyday drawer, were always in my looks that I posted on Instagram, just were my top favorites of the year. I'm going to swatch them all out and we'll go from the least used to the most used at the end. Really quickly before I begin, if you're new here, hi, I'm Magdalena. I am a indie eyeshadow lover from Canada, specifically indie singles. I do videos like this where I go over my favorites, compare shadows. I also do custom palettes and duping popular palettes. If that's something you would be interested in, then I have a whole bunch of other videos on my channel that you might like. All right, obligatory self promo over. Let's get started. All right, so first up in the 10th spot, I have ShinebySD Reserve 5. This is a sheer deep iridescent with a blue, indigo, and purple shift. It's a really nice topper shadow, and I tend to wear it a lot over a brown, like a chocolate brown smoky eye, just to give that kind of interesting, contrasting color. Not something I wear every day, but I did wear it a lot for special events. In the 9th spot is Fata Morgana from ShinebySD and Seeking Shifts. This is part of the Earthborn collection, and all of the shadows in that collection are extremely complex and dimensional. This one has a warm brown base and shifts from blue, indigo, purple, violet, magenta, and red. It's incredibly sparkly, and the contrasting sparkle versus the warm base is really dimensional, but I don't wear it every day because it does have that very warm base. I would definitely say this is a really nice one and done for people who don't mind that warmth, but for me, it's definitely more of a nighttime shadow or like a fancy event shadow, and that's why it's further down my list. In the 8th spot is Pretties for Your Face Melancholy. This is a sheer deep iridescent that shifts from blue, indigo, purple, and violet. I picked this one up just at the end of the year. It was part of their Halloween collection, and I've worn it so much since then that it wound up making my top list for the year. This really is like the exact type of shadow that I've been looking for. Something that has a sheer base that I can just wear every day, built up, or just a sheer wash of color over the eye. The base is much more cool than a lot of the blue browns, which I loved the kind of sparkly wet look effect of. This is basically my contour color. It blends perfectly into my eyelid. If you're somebody who, like me, is very fair toned and has a lot of cool undertone to their skin, this one is definitely one to check out. 7th is Clionadh Baroque. This has a taupe base and shifts pink, peach, orange, and gold. It's part of their pearlescent multichrome series, which have these really beautiful, glowy, elegant finishes. I love to just take the shadow, buff it on my lid with a brush, or maybe add a little bit more with my finger and then buff that in if I just want a really quick, elegant, pretty, like your lids but better kind of look. This collection does have a couple other options too that are much warmer than this. So if you're thinking, oh, that sounds really nice, but this is way too cool tone for me, there is some other options. The sixth shadow I have is Clionadh Gloaming. This is an iridescent that shifts from a peachy pink, orange, gold, yellow, chartreuse, and lime. It's one of their glitter iridescents, and it has a very similar formula to the popular gilding in that it is very chunky, a little bit harder to work with, but extremely sparkly. I do love gilding as well, but I find that it's a little bit too warm toned for me, and this one just, kind of buffed over the lid gives an extremely sparkly, beautiful effect. The fifth shade is Calicari from Pretties for Your Face. This is a really beautiful warm taupe with blue to indigo shifting sparkles. It's another one that I got at the end of the year, but I've been wearing so much that it still made the list. This is the perfect eyeshadow if you have blue eyes and you want to bring them out, with the blue sparkles, just adding that extra little sparkle to your eye and the slightly warm base, but not too warm that it looks really orange on your eyes. This shadow just makes my eyes glow, and it's really, really beautiful one and done too. Fourth is another ShinebySD and Seeking Shift shadow. This is Alpenglow. It has a sheer blue base and shifts from purple, magenta, pink, and gold. This might be my favorite shadow. Like, I have a couple that I go between, but This one might be the most me of all of the shadows that I like. I love the pastel base. I love the purple and pink sparkle. I love that it's not too in your face. I love that it can be sheared down or layered up. This is just a really, really beautiful shadow. And now we're down to the final three. This is Glimmer from Clionadh. It's an iridescent with a blue, indigo, purple, violet, and pink shift. Now, this was kind of a pick one of these shadows spot because I have quite a few of these iridescents and I switch which one I use day to day depending on the look I'm going for. But this one was one that was kind of in the middle. It wasn't too PC, it wasn't too glowy. It was just a really well balanced one. So it's the one that I picked. But I do wear it a lot. It's not complete lie to say this is number three, but it's also not 100% accurate in that it is standing in for all of my blue iridescent. And now for the runner-up. This is once again another Earthborn shadow. This is Fogbow by ShinebySD and Seeking Shifts. This is a beautiful layered iridescent. It has a iridescent green base and then shifts from magenta, pink, peach, and gold. I feel like this is really the hidden gem of the collection. A lot of people know Knacker, a lot of people know Ice Blink, but most people tend to overlook Fogbow. I think what makes Fogbow so special to me is that it really is just an elegant shadow. I think that the other two are absolutely beautiful, don't get me wrong, but this one just has this kind of interesting, understated quality to it that is just beautiful for an everyday one and done. And finally, we have number one, my most worn shadow of the year. This is ShinebySD Palm Angel. This is a super sparkly iridescent with a subtle purple, magenta, pink, and gold shift. I know it might seem a little basic and not as exciting as some of the other shadows, but these are my most worn shadows. They're the ones that I wear, from day to day, and this one just really fit all of the requirements for my everyday shadow. It's definitely buildable. You can just tap a little bit on if you just want a little bit of sparkle, or you can build it up to something as sparkly as it is here. The colors aren't too intense. They're not like the bright blues that some of the other ones are. It blends beautifully into my skin tone. This is just a really beautiful shadow, accurately called a hidden gem. Here they are all swatched out. I'm just going to put the names up on the screen and throw on some background noise for a second so that you guys can take a look at the specific shadows. And that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear in the comments what your favorite shadows of the year were. If you had any preferences that you wore a lot this year, or if it was just really eclectic. Was it the same you do every year? Did you find new things that you like? Let me know. And to everyone watching this, I hope you have a wonderful holidays. I will probably not be back until after the new year as I'm going to visit some family, although I do have some really exciting content for when I get back that I plan to do as soon as possible. Stay safe and have a wonderful time. And again, happy holidays, happy new year, all of that. Bye.